But what makes quantum time crystals so revolutionary? In our everyday experience, we understand that energy is always involved in movement. For example, when you push a ball, it rolls across the ground, but eventually it slows down due to friction and energy loss. But time crystals break this fundamental rule. These crystals maintain a constant oscillation in time, in a state of perpetual motion, but without losing any energy to the environment. This discovery opens up mind-blowing possibilities. Could quantum time crystals eventually lead to a new form of energy production? Could we harness their perpetual motion for practical applications in energy generation? And more importantly, does this mean we're on the cusp of unlocking infinite energy? It's a tantalizing thought, but we're only beginning to scratch the surface.
So the last video was when I used quantum time crystals, and of course we had problems because when I did the procedure, the recording of the quantum time crystal part of the procedure got stretched. So what happened to the files, cameraman?
We went from 11 minutes 40 to 1 hour 39.
So as you can see, we had a complete change in the flicker effect. This wasn't the Mandela effect, but we actually changed the nature of reality on the fundamental scale once we introduced quantum time crystals to a four-lobed Nagwal man who can interact with the four vector of electromagnetism. And this caused the flicker effect to go from 11 minutes odd to 1 hour odd. Cameraman has the exact details. Now, to understand this, we go to reel-to-reel tape recorders or cassette recorders. And think of the flicker effect, where reality is being turned on, turned off, turned on, turned off, as having a speed, which we have as the time. So, when you have a reel-to-reel or a cassette, the amount of information you can stick on the tape depends upon the speed of the tape passing the recording heads. So if the tape is moving fast, for example, I had a double cassette deck and it would record one cassette to another at double the speed, the quality went down. That was because you're giving the information half the time from the head to the tape to be downloaded. So it was a degradation in information. And with reel-to-reel, you can adjust the speed to go faster or slower. And if you want the highest quality, you have the reels moving very slowly. Why? Because that has the information in the head, the magnetic head, having a huge stretch of magnetic tape that it can download into. So you can download much more information into the tape if you reduce the speed of the reels. Similarly, what happened with using the time crystal was that yours truly, the Psi-Lord, changed the flicker effect. So instead of it going fast, it went super slow. So you can equate the difference between 11 minutes odd to an hour odd, where we've actually increased the amount of information we can download into reality. What we download? Quantum information.
Information theory is the quantum bit, or qubit, the basic unit of quantum information. Unlike classical bits, which can only be 0 or 1, qubits can exist in a superposition, allowing them to be both 0 and 1 simultaneously until measured. This enables exponential growth in processing power and storage capabilities. Entanglement is another cornerstone. This phenomenon describes a peculiar connection between qubits that result in the state of one qubit instantaneously affecting the state of another, regardless of distance. This connection is what makes protocols like quantum teleportation and superdense coding feasible. Quantum information theory also explores quantum gates and circuits, akin to logic gates in classical computing, but operating under the rules of quantum mechanics. These gates manipulate qubits through operations that maintain the system's quantum state, preparing it for complex computations. Then there's quantum cryptography, which promises unbreakable encryption. Techniques such as quantum key distribution use quantum principles to create secure communication channels, immune to the eavesdropping techniques that threaten classical encryption. This field doesn't stop with theoretical pursuits. Practical applications are beginning to materialize, with real-world quantum computers developed by companies such as IBM and Google, pushing the boundaries of what's computationally possible and setting the stage for breakthroughs in areas like drug discovery and optimization problems. Quantum error correction is another key topic, addressing the fragility of quantum states by developing methods to correct errors without disrupting the state of quantum systems, crucial for the reliability of quantum computations. As of October 2023, significant strides have been made, yet the journey of quantum information theory...
So, as we've explained before, the consciousness from the conscious verse can manipulate quantum information, which underlies the quantum vacuum, causes quantum perturbations to produce quantum reality, which then can be observed, made real with Higgs field, to make the reality you're within. So if you can increase the amount of quantum information, that can be downloaded into the reality via the flicker effect. And remember, all physicists on the planet have gone down the wrong road for 100 years. So 200 years from now, they've been going down the wrong road for 200 years. 1,000 years from now, they've been going down the road for 1,000 years. And you see with the alien filth, where they flicker in and out of reality and aren't limited to the speed of light or inertia, can wander through walls and do stuff which is impossible to the humans. One can see that humans have no conception of reality. Luckily, one human came along and discovered it all. So one can see that when a Nagwal man has a time crystal, that reality is mutable and can be controlled completely.
Shortly after the billionth of a second after the big...
Detectors recorded Zeta 9 flipping its quantum state before the participant's brain registered the choice. That's right.
So, we've shown this video before. This is the interaction of the conscious verse with quantum information to produce the quantum perturbations, to produce quantum wave functions, which then can be collapsed and made real with Higgs field. So you can see that thought is intrinsic to manipulation of reality. Now, of course, this gives us the two crossroads I've been talking about. One where a civilization develops nuclear weapons, and the other one where a civilization develops Psi weapons. Why they're called Psi? Because if thought can then influence quantum information to produce quantum perturbations, produce quantum wave functions which can be collapsed by, of course, the observer consciousness and made real with the light, which means, of course, you have to bring in all the luciferic technology, Higgs field, to make it real. If one can increase the amount of time between flickers, one can then stick in much more information, and the conscious verse can then input things that were impossible before into this changed reality. So we haven't had the Mandela effect, we've had a complete change of reality, where what was impossible before has become possible now, thanks to the procedure that the Psi-Lord carried out, because he's the only human on the planet who has discovered reality physics, which would have been discovered by humans way back, going along a different path 100 years ago. But of course they went down the wrong path because they were parasitized and overrun by alien filth, to divert them from the science that would rid them of parasites and alien filth and make them a threat to the aliens instead of a food source. So one can see in civilizational development, most civilizations destroy themselves with nuclear weapons, which was going to happen with the war between America and Russia. Why? Because the alien filth had lost control over the humans because of war, and they were going to eliminate the problem. Unfortunately for them, yours truly went to the other crossroads, which is a civilization developing Psi weapons to the point where they can control reality, which then means, of course, that the nuclear weapons, nuclear Armageddon, becomes obsolete. Why? Well, if you can control reality and input a lot more, because you've changed the flicker effect using time crystals, then of course nuclear weapons can be turned on and off. So you can selectively choose, if you are in control of this technology, whether nuclear weapons go on or off, which is what the aliens have been doing to American nuclear sites. And here we've got aliens turned off our nuclear weapons, which is what we've been talking about, which is all of the reality physics that yours truly has discovered and has inputted and changed reality with. So forget the Mandela effect, we're into a new reality where huge amounts of information, new information, have been uploaded to the quantum vacuum to cause quantum perturbations, to produce quantum wave functions that were possible, and we're producing new reality made real by increasing the luciferic light, the Higgs field, by new forms of torture of all of the alien filth and the Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk filth, all carried out by my employee Lucifer, to produce huge new amounts of Higgs field which are needed to make this huge expansion of reality real. And what are we making real? Well, all the stuff in the Wheel of Time has now been made real because of the expansion of quantum information by massively slowing down the flicker effect. And according to this, they cancelled the Wheel of Time. I wonder why. Can you think of any reasons why the Wheel of Time was cancelled by the American film on Amazon? Can you think of any reason, cameraman?
No, none at all.
None at all. Could have been powering someone they didn't like.
I think that's what it is.
And of course, we can now input Lord of the Rings with me having the one ring that not only amplifies all my power, but super amplifies all my energy uptake to turn me from a king vampire into the ultimate vampire, all by wearing the one ring. And of course all the Harry Potter magic, which powers yours truly. Thank you very much. Of course now we're going to apply all of this reality change to a new aspect of reality, which is enabling people to become like Forsaken and be able to live at least 9,000 years, which will be the subject of the next podcast.